Welcome, everyone. You would recognize my guest from a previous Draw Me Anything. This is Tom Toro, author, New Yorker cartoonist, fantastic creator and writer, and
Keep
a
it
jack
coming.
of all trades. Yeah.
Don't stop. Don't stop. I need this ego boost. Thank you.
Yeah. You have a brand new book out that just came out yesterday called And to Think We Started as a Book Club. It's a collection of cartoons. Yeah, there it is, which is available now from wherever you buy books.
So
Welcome
Andy,
back, Tom.
it's also the Andy Borowitz October book club pick.
Hey, that's huge.
So yeah, everyone should follow Andy Borowitz. Obviously, funniest
Yeah.
funniest funniest political satirist writer on Substack. The
Yep.
Borowitz Report. So it's part of his October book club pick.
That's huge. Wow, congrats. He's
Yeah,
amazing.
I love Andy. So funny.
Yeah, I've been reading his stuff in the New Yorker for so many years. And then when I guess they let him go last year, idiotically, he immediately went over to Substack, and now he's doing better than he ever was at the New Yorker. It's crazy.
He's like he's the Heather Cox Richardson of comedy. He
Yeah.
just caught fire. It's so
Yeah.
fun. So fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was kind of my soft. Like, it's not an accident that the publisher chose this title. I mean, it is kind of an unwieldy title, but it's still funny. It's like the length of it is also kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it's the guilt-free book club pick because you can read it the night before.
Yeah, I was talking to Asher Perlman about this because he just joined in the chat. By the way, he's here. We were talking about the fact that the cover of his first book was a gag. It was one of the gags, one of his cartoons, which was
Right.
"Well, this is me," which was the giant version of the guy saying it. And initially, whenever there's like a collection of cartoons, the publisher, wants you to have like a wacky title or a thing about the collection of cartoons. But it's like, but if the gag works and it's funny, and then that should be the title. I mean, that
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
that's the and it worked. And the second version that he put out just is a run on from that last
Yep.
gag.
Yeah.
And that's why I like, the similar to yours, where it's like that's a great gag. And
I guess
it's
my follow up one has to be like them in prison being like, well, I guess we have a prison book club, or well, we were, but like referring to the past tense of the bank robbing era. I'm not sure.
right.
But we
And to think we
definitely like
started
there
as
was
a
one.
getaway car.
Exactly. So if you notice, there's like she's holding a crowbar, right?
Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
the actual cartoon that appeared in the New Yorker, she was holding a shotgun. So we had to tone it down a little bit because I guess there's something where like weapons get flagged on the covers of books, like for the algorithm. So we had to sort of make it more friendly to the algorithm.
Yeah.
There are some slight variations, but yeah, I
That's
think it
interesting.
works. It works well as a cover. But
By
yeah,
the way,
we went through various options. It was like, my most famous one, yes, the planet got destroyed, but you really need you need that second line,
you really
right?
do. Yeah.
Otherwise, if it's just yes, the planet got destroyed, apocalyptic landscape, it's like, is that going to really get people to lean in, make you want to open the book? But like, the book club is just like really nicely. I don't think it'll work as well as Asher's with like a follow-up title. I'll probably have to just do a completely different cartoon for the next one.
Yeah, but that's fine. Like, just if you do it the same thing where it's another cartoon and use the caption of that, it's totally fine.
15 years from now, because this comprises stuff that I've been doing since 2010.
Wow.
It's like it's not comprehensive, but it's like the greatest hits. So it's like I hope I'll come up with one sooner than 2040, but we'll see.
We'll see. Well, there might be an apocalyptic landscape by then. You never know. But at least for a time, we've delivered a lot of value to shareholders.
Prescient. Yes, exactly.
The people are demanding to know the name of your cat, Tom. Everyone in the chat's losing their mind about
that. The cat is named Pumpkin because we adopted Pumpkin around this time of year 2 years ago.
Seasonal. Wow,
yeah, exactly.
And
although when they give the cats names at the Humane Society, and I think they go like alphabetically, like every cat has it's like naming hurricanes,
right?
Where it's like they sort of name the next cat with the next letter. So when we adopted him, his name was Knucklehead. But despite that, we decided to take a risk.
What was Mo from the Three Stooges naming the cats? Like,
yeah. I guess you got to keep things light at the Humane Society. Have a sense of humor about it.
That's funny. Yeah. I learned something recently about the Humane Society, which was that they are a bellwether for the economy as much as the Nasdaq or the Nikkei index or any of these things internationally, but also domestically. That when the rescue shelters and the Humane Society and the American Rescue, so ARC, American Rescue Centers, uh, basically they people surrender their pets when they can't afford to look after them anymore,
That makes
and
sense.
it's
Yeah.
an economic indicator of
Interesting.
the
Interesting.
uptick in people surrendering their pets. It's like,
Everyone
yeah,
else is suffering, but there's one individual person who benefits in those economic situations, and that's Sarah McLachlan. Because she gets commissioned to do another SPCA.
the royalties on that song. Good
I
lord.
remember hearing I was listening to Marketplace on NPR during the Great Recession, and I remember this
Yeah.
one guy who had these sort of unusual market indicators, and but one
Mm.
thing he paid attention to was like underwear sales. If people are wearing around like underwear with busted elastic straps, then they can't like afford necessities in life because they're like not buying new underwear. So that meant
Oh,
like the Humane Society and underwear sales are the two indicators we need to watch out
I
for.
would have thought it would have been the other way around. When the bottom drops out as the market, you're shitting yourself. So you need, I don't know, something else.
You
Um,
need, yeah.
you need more of it. Yeah, I have been paying attention to all these things like the Freakonomics thing, like especially during a time when so few. And I know this is getting, off topic a little bit, but it's germane to the we delivered a lot of value to shareholders. Is it's like so few companies now just dictating the motions of the market. It's these giant tech firms or chip manufacturers, and everything else is just like following in its wake. And
Right,
it
right,
takes
right, right.
one of them to lose, I don't know, 20% for the whole market to just, crap itself.
It's not good.
It's
Consolidation is not good.
no, no,
I have a
it's not.
cartoon. I have a cartoon where there's a couple dudes talking in like a tech startup company office, and
Mm.
you can tell it's a tech startup because there's like exposed brick and like air ducts.
Foosball
And
table.
yeah, a foosball table. And one of them is saying, the internet has completely revolutionized the way white guys get rich.
That's a solid gag.
And I
Uh,
changed it. I changed it recently to AI. Like AI has totally
yeah,
revolutionized. It's always these same beneficiaries. You go
isn't
back
that
and
weird?
see. It's weird how that works. Yeah, it's weird how
Yeah.
that works.
I think I saw the AI version. I never saw the
Oh yeah,
original version, but
yeah,
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 and
yeah.
I remember seeing that and going, "Oof, there it is." That's
Oof, yeah,
yeah,
oof, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that dinner at the White House with everyone sitting around that table genuflecting to Trump, and
Right.
I was like, "Oh wow, look, it's just a copy and paste. Someone just copy and pasted the same slight variation of the same guy
Because
around that table."
you had Ann Telnase on. How do you say Ann
Yeah,
Telnase?
and Telnays, yeah,
Ann Telnase on after she had quit, right, for
yeah,
doing the cartoon about the tech oligarchs genuflecting
yeah.
into the yeah.
That was them donating to the inaugural fund. And what had happened is, I think it was the publisher of the LA Times. It was Elon. Well, I did. Musk wasn't in there at the time, but it was Mark Zuckerberg. It was Jeff Bezos. It was which is why the cartoon was killed. And I think it was also Disney. So Bob Iger. So it was just like Mickey Mouse. And
Oh,
I
right,
think
right.
who else was it? Apple. And there was one other one as well. Anyway, the big oligarchs, tech oligarchs, and it was the Streisand effect because they killed it, and then every other cartoonist just did their version of the gag and like just put it
Yeah,
out to all of their audiences, and it
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
took off in this insane viral international.
It was like the Barry Blitz fist bump cover.
Yeah,
It was like
the Obamas.
it gained more attention. It could have just come and gone in that week, but
Yeah.
because of the controversy, then it became iconic. But actually, for anyone interested in listening about like political cartoons and like political satire and humor, I did a podcast that just came out yesterday with Civics 101. They're a really
Oh,
great
cool.
podcast out of New Hampshire. I did that. I did the illustrations for their User's Guide to Democracy. They also wrote that book, and so we dropped an episode about political cartoons and the relationship of comedy and power. So it's like
That's great.
really cool. Yeah, and we talk about Anne. We talk about that cartoon specifically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Kev Callahan just joined. Cal. He and I were talking. We are in Baltimore talking about that. The fact that, he's seen these patterns over time. Like you stay in cartooning long enough, and you just start to see these same things repeating, or these same kind of characters reappearing in a different incarnation. And it is interesting to watch the reaction to power that cartoonists, like especially cartoonists who have a really influential following, or are able to like deftly kind of caricature and really just like hit at the cut to the quick of the issue and the person, and especially if they have a personality defect. And boy, what a bottomless pit Trump is for the personality defect. But yeah, he was saying like, after a while, it's interesting just to watch, that power dynamic and the shift and the weakness of their ego and the shakiness of their power based on the fact that they don't like cartoonists and satirists and writers and people who are just poking fun at them.
Right. It was the point that like
Yeah.
Kimmel made the point in his return monologue where it was like,
Yeah.
the importance of paying attention to when comedians start to get censored is not because comedy is existentially important to the health of the democracy, although arguably it might be, but because it's so seemingly unimportant, right?
Mm.
So if they start censoring comedy, then that means their level of fragility, their level like the wire trigger is pretty low in terms of what else they're going to tolerate, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, so I think that's the most important thing. Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here in Portland. I'm sitting here in Portland now, Portland,
Mm.
Oregon, which has become sort of a flashpoint for a lot of political things. And like the way that people are responding, I think is really encouraging. People are just showing up wearing Halloween costumes outside the ICE facilities. They're treating it as an almost opportunity for like public forms of satire.
Right. Right.
Against the power. Yeah.
Um.
Do you
This
do
is
you do like a lot of political? I mean, you pitch to the New Yorker Daily Cartoon
I
often,
do,
yeah.
yeah. I pitched a couple
Yeah.
this morning, actually. Yeah, and it is interesting watching. Like, it's so hard to. I wouldn't want the job of having to select these because the news cycles being what they are now. You could pitch a cartoon, the night before or first thing in the morning, and then by the time it goes up on the newsletter or the website or whatever, it's like the story's either taken on a whole new shape or there's new information that's come in or something even bigger has happened and it's drinking from a fire hose, like you just hope. And so you see a lot of these cartoons that they post, which is just like people exasperated looking at a TV going, another crazy thing happened. Ah, fuck. Like you can't pick a specific thing.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because my background was, I started out doing political cartoons for newspapers and it was very of the minute and of the day. And you'd go to press sometimes like within minutes of going to press, you'd be sending in the cartoon. Just to make sure it was absolutely right up to the minute and accurate so that the next day you didn't have egg on your face when, the minister came out and apologized or added a bit of more information.
Right. I think
And
one of the problems is like with the New Yorker, like you're doing it for almost too large of an audience, right?
yeah, that's
Well,
true.
like that, that's why there's almost it's better when cartoonists are working for like regional papers. Like I think of like Adam Ziglis for the
Totally.
Buffalo,
Yeah.
or like you can approach national subjects but from the way that they're impacting your immediate community. And then you can also transition to like, making fun of the Buffalo Bills one day, or like, and like there's it's more digestible, and like you don't have that rush of you're not dealing with too wide of an aperture, right?
Yeah. A
Mhm.
global aperture now. I mean, New Yorker is
Right,
an international publication. It's no longer just the New York. I mean, actually, they've got more subscribers in California than New York now. And it's interesting just kind of knowing, you're like, oh, who's reading this? You write for your audience, right? So you're thinking, but boy, who's going to get this reference and how, the points of context are all different. So I think about that a lot when I'm trying to write jokes where I'm like, are they going to get this? Even in like Canada, even there's little the differences. Um,
yeah.
by the way, Asher, we have a question from the floor. Asher said, "Question for Tom: Is it frustrating to be so consistently good because then people expect you to always be good? Do you ever want to just publish a dud just to lower the bar for yourself?"
I try all the time. They won't let me do duds. I've been sending thousands and thousands of duds, and they won't let me publish it. That's really flattering, actually. Thank you very much. Noted. I'll try and like very intentionally lower the bar. over the But I mean, yeah, but like this collection does have the benefit of I was able to draw on a very wide body of work for it. So it really kind of is greatest hits, but also because
Right.
it's a lot of really my most well-known stuff, I managed to slip in weirder stuff that I personally like that did not necessarily garner that kind of attention or impact. But that's very flattering. Thank you. I mean, especially coming from Asher. Asher, he put a lot of like he's asking me to do that, but at the same time, the blurb he gave me said that my book is responsible for saving the publishing industry. So get your message straight, man. It's one or the other.
I went to I went to a book launch last night for another New Yorker cartoonist, Hilary Fitzgerald Campbell.
We had the joy of snacking.
Yeah, Joy of Snacking, Andrews McMill. It was at the Slipper Room, which is a burlesque venue in the Lower East Side in Manhattan, and it was full. It was completely sold out. Crazy. There was
You can be
band,
honest.
there was comedy.
You can be honest. You went there and then you realized there was a book launch. But
Yeah.
you go there usually on Tuesday nights.
Yeah, it was exactly. I went for the cabaret and went, oh crap.
Oh, Hillary.
Hillary,
Oh,
what are you
hey.
doing here? Oh my God. What are the odds? Yeah.
Stuffing $1 bills back in here.
it was really, I mean, it's funny because and this is something I want to talk to you about because I talk to other cartoonists about it when they have books out, and it's that so much of the onus is on the author to get the word out about the book. You try all these different things. I know that you're doing all these different, like you're doing press, you're doing podcasts, you're doing appearances and talks and in conversation with and bookstore appearances and a book tour. And there's all these things that you have to like just to get eyes on the book and move any units.
Fair warning. My Instagram feed is going to be extremely annoying for the next 2 weeks. You are forgiven if you scroll past. There's gonna be a lot of promotion, but I'm gonna try and throw in some ginger in the Japanese sushi deal. I'm gonna try and just do some cartoons, so you can just enjoy this too. But no, it is just a lot of self promotion, which as cartoonists can feel sort of uncomfortable at sometimes. Like we like letting our work speak for itself, right? Like our work is meant to be out there circulating. But at the same time, if you can just lean into it, and it can be extremely gratifying to go out and like, how rare is it to meet your audience as sort of an introverted hermetic artist, right? Especially to hear people during my cartoon presentations. I share the work. Hopefully the venues have AV capability so I can show. There's nothing worse than like showing up and like doing a reading for a cartoon book and like describe that's not as satisfying. So you want to show some cartoons, and hearing an audience laugh to your cartoons is really nourishing for the soul.
It is. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, in that, go ahead.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that cartoonists never hear the laugh at the other end. They assume we know everyone's enjoying it. We have no idea. We're not following people around with New Yorkers waiting for them to open to our page and go, hey, what'd you think? Like it's in comedy, you have, on stand up on stage, you're doing a joke and you get the immediate feedback. And it is very nourishing for the soul. You're like, oh, okay, so I'm not crazy. The thing I think is funny, you also think is funny. But then with a cartoon, like you said, there's cartoons in your book that didn't make the cut for the New Yorker, but you think they're funny, you like them, and then you're like, I'm pretty sure this is funny, right? And you put it in, and then you hope that when you show it in a public forum, that other people are going to get it. And when I have the same thing where I'm terrified when I read out a caption for a New Yorker cartoon at a book launch or at an event where I'm like, are they going to laugh at it? Like I'm still worried I'm going to bomb with a cartoon, even though I know it's a million other times people go, oh, I love this cartoon, they share it, but I'm like, is it going to work live?
It's a fish out of water. It's like the wrong context, right? I mean, you have to sort of you can zhuzh it up a little bit. You have to sort of overact and like sell the joke in the cartoon. But I mean, that's like they're meant to be enjoyed privately. They're kind of intimate moments between the artists and the audience with the way that they're in the New Yorker. But at the same time, it's been really well. I love going out and like doing the readings, showing the cartoons. People are really, really responsive. I just got Andy Borowitz sent me a link this morning. Apparently, it's my book is like it's in between Kamala Harris's memoir and the new Thomas Pynchon novel, and like the best the indie booksellers rankings.
Good for you.
So it's like doing really well. But
Very
I mean,
cool.
also just like doing a cartoon collection, it used to almost be just pro forma. Like you would just like
Yeah.
have a body of work. You do a cartoon collection every year. You were working for a syndicate, so they would just naturally assemble them and put them out much more frequently.
Mm.
Now it's a little bit more rare, and I really do credit Asher in a lot of ways for kind of getting Andrews McMeel to lean more into doing the cartoon collections and making it something that is that they can see the promise in. Because I think there was maybe, I'm not sure if this is like accurate, but I have a hunch that because we have all our stuff on Instagram, we have all our stuff on social media, there's
Mm.
a little bit more reticence behind publishers being like, well, why put it all into a book, right? If people can
Mm.
just go on my Instagram feed and read it. So that's why I'm really trying to like, not justify the book, but like really sort of, encourage people to pick it up because it is just a different and better experience to sit
Yeah,
down
it
with a
is.
book of cartoons and read them. They kind of end up in conversation with each other. Like they
Mm.
like the laugh starts rolling and like one feeds into the next. They're curated very intentionally, like in the way
Yeah.
they're organized. So yeah, it's like the difference between, it's like listening to a band's album all the way through, right? The
Mm.
songs are in the order for a reason, and
Yeah.
it's all a piece, right? So
Yeah.
I think that
Right.
that's what the cartoon collection is. Yeah.
It's the difference. I think listening to an album versus just listening to random, shuffle playlists on like Spotify or whatever, is the difference between clicking on your profile and seeing the cartoons, or opening your book and seeing them in order versus just like seeing them in a feed, just in a like among a picture of a cat and then cartoon, then a guy getting hit in the balls, and then just like it's
Right.
just this random mishmash of different themes and
Right.
ideas and styles and genres.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it is discordant. I find that even if you try and curate your feed, because a lot of my feed is just like cartoons, and I don't really scroll anymore. If I do, it's to just like I'll be checking a lot of other cartoonists, like what other people are doing, and if they've got stuff on like to promote, and just like sharing stuff that people are doing. But then I'll post promos for my Substack. That's pretty much all I post on socials now. And I do feel like in the way that so like I'm writing things and publishing them on Substack, the powder's not dry on any of that stuff anymore.
Right.
It's
Right.
out. But I still think that a collection, like a book of essays and drawings and stuff like that, in a compendium, like a collection of them, is still a totally different experience than getting this drip feed in your inbox, throughout the year. And I think, yeah, you're right. In that sense of like Asher putting out that collection and really giving them the confidence that yes, a collection of cartoons is a worthy exercise, and something that people would actually digest in its
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in that format. It doesn't matter if they've appeared on Instagram or Substack or Twitter or Facebook. Doesn't matter, because that's a totally different experience. And when I put out my book the first time, I was told, "Oh, don't put all of the pages on social media because then people won't buy the book." I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." And at the time, I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, keep some stuff in the book so they have to buy the book." And then I was like, "Who's being so fastidious? Who's going through and just collecting and
Printing,
screenshotting
printing out. Yeah. Exactly.
every time I post a story or whatever of something in the book? Who gives it? That's a totally different thing. I'm just going to put it all. I don't care. I'm going to put whatever I like online from the
I think
book."
Matt Diffie did the same thing. Matt Diffie, who I greatly admire, great. He has a
Yeah,
new kids book coming out. So if anyone who
he
has kids
does.
and kids books, like Matt Diffie is a great artist, and he came out with a
Mm.
cartoon collection several years ago called "Hand Drawn Jokes for Smart, Attractive People," and I
I
think
have it right here. Yeah.
it's great. And like but he posted every page on his Instagram. He just like went through, like posted the entire book online, and I don't see why not. Yeah, like who's printing who's printing these out?
Yeah. Also, if you like one out of all of the pages, and that's the thing that makes you go, "Oh, I'm going to buy this book."
Right. It did actually give me a chance to go back and do some tweaking. Like I did do some little edits to captions
Okay.
and some little modifications to the artwork just to make sure that it like sat nicely on the page and that it like, so like I did, some of the cartoons that people might be familiar with might look slightly different, like in the collection, because it did give me a chance to go in and fine tune some
That's
things.
interesting.
I'm
What?
I'm like I'm like a unrecovered perfectionist. I just
Oh yeah, no,
I can't help it. I can't help it.
totally. this is part of the turning in the book part of the people don't really see the behind the scenes of what goes into making a book. I just spent the last week at a writer's residency out, Emily Flake's St. Nell's residency out in Pennsylvania.
Oh, you were
So
there.
just
Oh,
yeah,
cool, cool.
and just to
Did she
knuckle
have you
down
doing
and
any renovate? Like, did she rope you into doing any construction work?
I
Is
did
it?
I did clean the place up a bit, but nothing structural, nothing structural. Um, but I've been out there a bunch. I love it out there. But it was good. Like I was meant to be there with two other comedians, all each working on our own things. But both of them, one got COVID, so he didn't come, and the other one had a family emergency, so he didn't come. So I had the whole place to myself for the whole week, and I just knuckled down on my book to finish the next one. And it was that thing of like crippling a, not knowing when it's finished, when the cartoon is finished. B, thinking, am I going to come back to this? I'm going to change it and tweak it before it goes to
Right,
press.
right.
And just this idea that like, it's never going to be perfect. Like in my
No,
head, all I'm going to see is the mistakes. It's never going to be
no.
perfect. I may not even open the book for fear of just seeing nothing but errors. But
I
but
was in
it is, yeah.
I was at NYU Film School for a hot minute in the mid aughts, and one of my favorite professors there was the editing professor, Carol
Hmm.
Dysinger. And she, very like first day, she was like, films are never finished, films are abandoned. Like at some point, you just have to let it go. And I feel like
Yeah.
that applies to all art forms, right? You just have to let it
Yeah.
go. The publication date is coming up. I'm excited for your next one. That's cool. Oh, so
Yeah.
speaking
Well,
speaking of
yeah.
speaking of like how do you curate things
Mm,
Paul Noth has a
mm.
cartoon collection coming out. I'm not sure when exactly. I think he just announced the deal, but he's doing a lot of previously unpublished stuff in the book, and he invited me to join a Dropbox folder where I was able to go through a bunch of the stuff he was considering adding.
Love that.
If
Yeah.
you ever want to be humbled,
Yeah.
go through
It's
go,
like a
go
whole
through
nerd
go
stuff.
through
Oh
go
my
through
God.
go through like Paul Noth's slush pile. He is so good.
Yeah. He's
It's like
amazing. I
I
love
don't
his
even
work.
know like how long can this book be? 800 pages? Like it's like they're all fantastic.
Right? Yeah.
My gosh,
He's
yeah.
he's so good. Yeah, and it's the other thing. I know we were talking previously, last time you were on about like style and about, tone and selling a joke and drawing the eye around an image and all that kind of thing. And he is so consistently good at that. I used to study his stuff just to like reverse engineer the mechanics of how to construct a joke for a gag cartoon.
I
There's
could
so
be,
much that goes into it.
I could be, it could be apocryphal. I could be misremembering if he was the one who told me, but his early stuff looks much different than his new stuff. Like his early
Mm,
stuff was like really detailed, almost like cross hatching style.
yeah.
A lot of pen strokes, much more. Like
Mm.
his one, he has this one where there's two people walking down the street, and there's a very very miniature on the sidewalk in front of them, the very miniature Godzilla, and the person is saying, he's big in Japan, which is very funny. But like it's like very detailed. It's like very very very
Yeah.
detailed. And I think Bob was the editor at the time. I think Bob Mankoff actually told Paul, draw worse. Like draw worse because your jokes are so good that you don't need all the filigree. Like you don't need us to really, like have like the jokes need sort of just a cleaner delivery,
Yeah, yeah,
so I take that to heart sometimes sometimes if I'm insecure, if I don't think a joke is good enough, but they've still bought it, I'll like overdo the drawing.
yeah, yeah. Same.
But I do also like the painting of it. Like I spend a lot of time in the painting, which is another thing. Which is I was really happy with the book. Like they did a great job with the print. Like because I have a like really delicate grayscale wash in a lot of my cartoons, and the print just
Yeah,
looks really nice. So I will overdo it sometimes too, but I try to keep that in the back of my mind. Like draw worse. Like the joke can sustain it.
you know what? It was the best, and it was. I don't know if it was a compliment or an insult. From Bob Mankoff. It was on stage. We were
There's
doing
no
a
way
live.
to know. There's no
There's
way
no
to
way
know
to
with
know.
Bob.
There's no way to know. He said the best thing about your work is the worst thing about your work, which is you draw too well sometimes. And initially I was like flattered. I was like, oh, thanks. He's like, it's not a compliment. And he was talking about that same thing of like you overdraw the thing to like really sell it to make sure they really get it. And it's the equivalent of saying a joke and they're going, do you get it? Because the guy is like it's almost like a cloying, like a
Right.
hey, isn't this? And he's like, you don't need to. You gotta dial it back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we have a question here. You two are both particularly good at drawing. Would love to hear how you each found that balance. Well, I mean, yeah, mine was doing it I would draw it and get all the lines out of my head just so that I get the nice feeling of drawing them, and then I'll do it again and do it with less lines, just so that I got the satisfaction of doing
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the heavy version, and then I'd like pair it right back.
I have
But
the
yeah,
benefit.
yeah,
I have the benefit of being a really bad doodler, and a really bad. I'm really bad at doodling. I'm really bad at sketching. I hate my sketches. They're really really clumsy. And so like what you see in my finished cartoons is the utmost of what I'm able to deliver as an artist. With
that's true.
Jason has to intentionally dial it back. I'm like
No,
trying as hard as I possibly can.
it sounds bad. It sounds bad. It sounds like I'm no, I mean, I there are things that I really struggle to draw, and then in doing so, overcompensate by researching and getting, like reference and trying to get it super accurate when really I should be making it more abstract. I should be taking it
Right.
away from the
I will
literal
say,
and more,
I will say that with characters, like I will
yeah.
sometimes do a lot of the background elements. I'll do all the cobblestone streets. I'll do the brick walls. I'll do the
Mm,
wainscoting. I'll do the house plant, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the characters, I really try and have as simple an expression as possible. Like really in my characters, the only people with mouths are the speaking characters in my cartoons, right? I have the rest of the
mm,
facial expressions pared down to an absolute minimum. So when it comes to sort of efficiency and minimalism, I'd say that I adhere to that in my characters,
mm.
more so than my settings,
Yeah, that's
because I think that
interesting.
it's just like you don't want them to tell you how to respond. You don't want them to overact, right? Like you want to
Yeah,
be the audience to be able to imprint their own impression of how funny this joke is to them, like on the joke. You know what I mean? And so
yeah.
I feel like if there's sort of a dryness to the characters living inside of that situation, then it opens up the possibilities.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess it's that theory that what's the understanding comic Scott McCloud thing of like people imprinting on the character. If there's less features, they can kind of imbue themselves with the. I think I did a cartoon that sold at the New Yorker, which was a bunch of like boxing promoters and boxers at the pre-fight press conference, in front of the press, and the gag was, oh, we've decided to settle this in the comments of a YouTube video, and I had the
The
only
real
person.
pugilism. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Um, the only person I had with a mouth was the one talking into the microphone because there were microphones in front of all four of the people, and so I removed all the mouths from all the other people, and so when I sent in the finish, I was like, "Oh, great, that's it," and I'll on the maybe never see it again. But then I got a note back saying, "Oh, you forgot to add mouths to all the characters." I'm like, no, no, that was very deliberate. I didn't want to. They're like, "No, you're gonna have to add a mouth," and so they asked me to add a mouth, and I'm like, "Are you art
Really?
directing this? This is all right." So
Oh,
I
okay.
added a mouth to it. I was like, all right. I
Huh.
mean,
I
when
wonder why was that maybe they misinterpreted who was speaking. That's a really funny note to get back. It's
yeah, I've
really
never
but
got
like
that note
what
before.
makes it really funny is that like getting feedback is rare, right?
Yeah, the only time
It's
I've got
very
it.
rare. Very rare. I did get, earmuffs for anyone who's under the age of 14 on this stream, but I did get one of the funniest notes back. I got back a note saying, and they sort of like framed it very abashedly, like leading up to the point they were trying to make. They're like, Tom, like this might sound like uncouth. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but is there any way to make this drawing less vaginal?
Wow.
Because I
Wow.
had I had done a lot. There was a lion tamer
Yeah.
being attacked by three lions, and totally unbeknownst to me, I like the way that all the lions' manes all like sort of gathered around the lion tamer was in like a V shape. So it looked like, but like I sort of stepped back and looked at the composition, and it just looked like, yeah, it looked like. I sort of rearranged it a little bit and sort of toned down the lion's manes and sort of like,
Wow.
so yeah, so I had to make a cartoon less vaginal for the New Yorker.
It was like an
I,
Escher drawing. It was like
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
said it.
yeah.
Oh wow, look, that's
But they will like fact check the cartoons too.
yeah, yeah.
Have you ever been fact checked?
Actually, I had. That's the only other note I ever got was when I was fact checked. I drew Vlad the Impaler, And I had to change his headdress. He had this little headpiece thing that I just kind of made it up, you know. And they're like, "Oh no, this is what he." Well, I'm like, "Oh, all right." So
Okay.
I had to change that just to make it historically accurate. And yeah, that was the only other. They
That's funny.
fact check certain things, especially with the dailies. I think I got a
Oh, sure.
couple of
Yeah, yeah.
fact checks on those.
When they're
But
supposed to
yeah,
be like
it's
referencing real people or something, then yeah, that would make sense. Or historical figures, right? That makes sense. That
yeah.
reminds me of one of my favorite Ed Steed cartoons is Ivan the Terrible with names.
Love that joke.
It's like Ivan the Terrible, but he's like at a party and he like just forgets everyone's name. It's like it's so
Yeah,
fun.
I
I
I
got
have
fact checked
two of his on
one
my wall.
time. One time, my mayflies didn't look enough like mayflies. I have this cartoon where there's mayflies flying away from another set of mayflies, and one of them is saying to the other, they're sort of wearing like, dinner dresses, like one mayfly is wearing a tie, and the
Mhm.
mayfly is saying, "We're only alive for one day, and you had to schedule dinner with the Hamiltons." So it's like you have like one dinner date in your life.
And it's long enough to hate the Hamiltons as well.
Yeah.
It's so short to already be like, oh, the fucking Hamiltons.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's
But
great.
my initial sketch, the mayflies were sort of like chubby. They almost looked more like
Yeah,
fruit flies, but I had to like
right.
because they're supposed to obviously be mayflies, I had to redraw them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got another one that was I had a baseball meeting at the pitcher's mound, and everyone's covering their mouths so they can't be lip read, but the pitcher is also covering his eyes. And the joke is, I have very expressive eyes. He doesn't want to give away their strategy by his like eyes. But they were all assembled, and the catcher, just compositionally, the catcher was covering his mouth with this hand, meaning that he's a left-hander. And so
Mhm.
I got a note back saying that there has not been a left-handed catcher in the major leagues since like 1972. And they did this whole thing about like who that catcher was and all that kind of stuff. So, I shouldn't have been surprised that the publication of Roger Angel would be like very up on its baseball lore. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I wrote back and I was like, that's fascinating. Compositionally, if we can keep it, like, please just let me do this. So they let me keep it, but they just wanted me to
They
know
did?
that I had drawn a left hand, and they were like, well, this maybe it's a minor league game. It doesn't have to be a major league game. It's fine.
This
But yeah,
that sort of strikes me as because they are so fastidious. These fact checkers have, I mean, that's their whole job is to make sure that everything's accurate. But it also, I think, is a result of how vexatious the readers are, how specific they're going to see something, and just almost to a degree that is like on the spectrum, they're going to see a thing that no one else sees, and they're going to write a letter, they're going to comment, they're going to say something like, "How
it's
could you
all to
publish
fend.
this?"
It's all to fend off the readers. It's all to fend
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, the comment section is why they do this. Is
Yeah,
is to avoid the shame of someone going, there hasn't been a left-handed catcher
yeah,
for in the
yeah,
major
yeah.
leagues since
But I actually,
1971.
I actually relish those moments because it's one of the rare times when you're actually in communication about your cartoons. Like
Yeah,
oftentimes it's just the Roman Colosseum, good, no good, and good. You send it in, and maybe you'll see it 12 years from now. But like it's
yeah,
nice to
maybe.
actually and it's like nice to know there's eyes on it, right? Like there's people paying attention to. When I did my cover with Francois like almost a year ago now, I did the
Oh
Thanksgiving
yeah,
cover this year. That is
amazing.
much more. That's much more in depth. That's much more editorial back and forth with Francoise. She sent like comparison art. We went back and forth on every draft,
Wow.
um, arranging the composition, doing slight tweaks on it and stuff like that before I went to finish.
Yeah,
So that was a rewarding process in and of its own right because you have her full attention because it's going to be on the cover and it's like we're going to
of
make sure that
course.
this works. So I'm hungry to do another one because it was actually really nice to like work with an art director like that closely.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
but yeah, it's much different. It's much different.
Do you usually have you worked commercially with ad agencies with art directors very closely where they're very
No,
hands-on
I
like
used
that?
to do. I did some cartoons for an Australian publication. Actually, there was like
Oh,
an
okay.
Australian travel publication, and I did more tweaking there because they were doing it for more like advertising purposes. I think.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I don't often work with. I don't have like an illustration agency. I know that with commercial art, you have to actually contractually agree to the number of like rewrites, because or else they'll just like tweak you to death, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't do a lot of that. Do you do that?
No, I mean, I used to. I used to work with agencies all the time, and they would. It taught me not to be too precious about my work because even if it was
Right.
good, they'd be like, "Yeah, this is great," but the client wants something else now. So
Right.
um, uh, it does feel good though to have someone else making the calls on stuff though. Like you're
Yeah.
outsourcing the anxiety of the decisions to someone else in that sense. Um, and I think it makes you. I think it does help. I think it is a good thing to have an art director because they will also have insights that you might not have. They have an outside eye. They're more objective, especially when you've been looking at something for too long. Like last week, I had a job that was art directed for the Philadelphia Eagles. They got me to, they commissioned me to illustrate their game day poster for this week. It's an game
Amazing.
with
Congratulations.
teams. Thanks. And I'd never done one of those before, obviously. And I was like, oh crap, what's the process? And they're like, well, it's rounds of changes. There's like 6 or 7 people that need to sign off on it, that need to each round from pencils to inks to colors. And also someone, I had finished it, the inks, and then the character I had drawn is out with an injury this week. So I had to completely start over and do a different player.
Oh my God.
And I and it was so like it was exciting though. Like it felt like I was back in my newspaper days where something would change in the last second and I'd have to redraw. And I think getting the art director his feedback, he would mark up the drafts and send them back and give notes on what he wanted to get rid of and move and change and that was actually very helpful because as I say, I was looking at it for too long. At that point,
Right.
I'd lost all objectivity, and I
Right.
hadn't sort of zoomed out to that little navigator window of like, oh, what's this actually going to look like? And it was a Eustace Tilley parody. It was the
The last
original.
thing you want, is
Yeah,
the Philly fan base. The
yeah,
last thing
I
you want
know,
is the
right?
Philly fan base coming after you. So
Yeah, they're very
it was a
passionate.
rendition of the Tilly. It was a rendition of that. That's cool.
They wanted a parody of the Eustace Tilly cover, but with one of their players. And
Cool.
so I'm allowed to share it tomorrow, but not today. But yeah, that process of like working with an art director and like color and the design and the composition of it all was really interesting. And I hadn't done that for such a long time. I forget how
Mm.
much utility can come from someone else giving you like
You need
direction.
editing. You need editing for sure.
100%.
100%. 100%.
100%.
I
Yeah.
think most like with New Yorker cartoons, the editing that they do is in the process of selection, right? So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
getting feedback on the other 9 they didn't take versus the one they did take, right? So it's kind of like
Yeah.
a unspoken form of editing in a weird way. I used to live in Kansas City, so as much as congratulations on the gig, but go
Good to
Casey.
see. Yeah. I was in Philly earlier this year, and they had the Super Bowl, the big cup thing, like driving around on the back of a truck just around the city with this giant eagle screeching
That is cool.
out of the truck, out of speakers. They're so proud of that win. Oh my God.
Last weekend I was at the Philly Comics Fest.
Oh,
That was
cool.
put on by
Wow.
a great local Philly comics store called Partners and Son.
Nice.
Great. If you get a chance to go, Philly Comics
Yeah.
Fest,
I
really
would love that.
worthwhile.
That's really
It's
cool.
really cool. Yeah, very cool place. So shout out to
Yeah.
them for hosting a great comic fest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the ALA thing was this year. The American Library Association had their big
Oh,
conference
dope.
there this year. So it was me
Nice.
and Asher and my writing partner Scott and a bunch of other cartoonists and writers and comic people and it was really cool. It was really big. The Philly contingent really turned out, just filled up that convention.
It's a great
A lot of
underground
fans.
comic scene. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
bummed because I went there for my table for the book signing, and right before me, Charles Burns had been there, and I missed him. I would have loved to have met Charles.
Wow.
He lives in Philadelphia apparently.
Oh,
So
okay. Right.
yeah, but his stuff is fantastic. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I was sitting there with my collection of New Yorker cartoons, and there was all these like really hip, tattooed, hair dyed, like very
Yeah.
Gen Z, like underground comics with an X,
Yeah,
like
totally.
artists. And here I am, like, hello, fellow kids. Like trying to
It's like patches on your elbow.
yeah.
Your blazer.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, it's very funny.
That
It
is
is
how
very
I
funny.
felt too. I've never felt older than when I was like all these young comic artists. I got carried away talking to you, but I'm still going to continue talking to you. I'm going to draw while I'm talking, just so that I can fulfill the draw part of Draw Me Anything.
Yeah. I am not, just so people know, I am not
No.
set up. I'm not set up to tilt my thing and do the drawing, so I'm going to heckle
Yeah, you can be my
Jason.
art director.
Yeah.
You can-
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Let me art direct.
Yeah, you should be my art director so that I actually know what I stop making.
That's actually do you
amateurish
remember
mistakes.
what was the Guillermo del Toro The Shape of Water about that like
Oh
a
yeah,
shape of
yeah,
water.
yeah,
My favorite subplot is the neighbor who's like the artist. He's like the commercial artist,
yeah.
and he takes in his finished painting toward the end, and the people at the ad firm are like, "Oh, this is beautiful, but we decided that we want to go with the color like red instead." And he had done
That's
this whole like the entire movie. He'd been working on this painting of like green Jello, like.
yeah.
So
I
I
remember
remember
that.
that was like great. That was a great moment.
That really stuck with me. That was such a nice little nod to all the artists who have had work killed, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
spiked. It's just such a depressing thing when you've worked on something for so long. You're like, oh, the world is going to see this, and they're like, nah, nah. The client wants to go with pineapples now instead of
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
amazing thing you just made.
You
But
people are lucky. You guys are lucky to see. If I was able to do the sketching here, let me just sketch so I can also hold it up at the end so you can just see how terrible. Let's see.
I
What do you use? Hold on. What's the prompt? What do we do? Just anything we want.
you said the shape of water, and then I just kind
Oh,
of
the shape of water. Okay,
I
good.
went with the theme of fish. But if anyone has look, Mick Stevens just joined. Hey, Mick. Cartoonist surrounded by editors is one of the requests of it. All right, so that would be a
Okay.
spicy meatball. Yeah, actually, I love. Have you seen? I mean, what's interesting lately is like Mick Stevens is a good example. Is I will see one cartoon from a cartoonist, and then as something about it just clicks in my brain where I'm like, I wonder how they draw the thing that I'm stuck on right now. Like if you're ever stuck on, I don't know if you have this where you're just like, I can't get this thing to look like I want it. And then you'll see someone else's work and go, I bet they know how to draw a fish on a skateboard.
Oh,
And
one
then
hundred
you go
percent,
back
one
and
hundred
you're like,
percent.
oh yeah, Harry Bliss was able to do this in 5 lines. Like,
Funnily enough, like oftentimes that's almost more valuable than like Google Images, right?
yeah, it is.
You look at how other people have interpreted it, and that almost might give spark something better than just like looking at an actual photograph of a fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's because it's being interpreted through the lens of the cartoonist. So you're not trying to make a literal. You're seeing how they interpreted, that idea,
Right.
which encourages you to do your own version of it. Um,
Plus shameless copying, which is also
Yeah.
totally fine.
I have to admit, sometimes because I'm not from America, some of my backgrounds for like the home, houses, things like that, interiors and also exteriors, I have to reference other cartoonists' work because I'm like, oh, what does a kitchen look like in America? Because I grew up in Australia where kitchens look a certain way, a different way. And also there's there's skirting and there's lighting and sideboards
Hmm.
and different bed shapes and sofa shapes. Um,
There's also
and
fewer 6 foot diameter spiders.
yes, I had to omit those as well, which was really annoying because I spent so much time getting good at drawing spiders that can kill you. Um, yeah, I did have to do a bit of a re-education of my visual vocabulary for American references, because I just spent so much time my building this vocabulary in a totally different country with different architectural and design backgrounds. It was closer to the UK than it was to America, so it sort of
Right, right, right.
yeah, so that was a big thing. So it was other cartoonists that I was like, oh, how does one draw, this particular scene, or what would logically in an American house be in this scene? Because I have no idea because I never grew up in an American house. Um, yeah, those
So
regional
be honest, be
things.
honest, be honest with us. Tell the people how much mileage do you get out of your Australian accent? And would
My
it and would it work in the like if I went to Australia, would I have any cat would this voice give me like any cachet?
Absolutely. They love an American accent in Australia in the way that they love an Australian accent in America. My writing partner, Scott, he wrote this joke for me for stage, for stand up, which was being a man in being a man in America with an accent. It's like a dress with pockets. It's not that interesting, but women fucking love it. so,
That's funny.
so he said, try this tonight. He knew I was going up at Gotham that night. He said, just try this, see if this is something. He's like, it's a thought I had. And it did work. It got a big pop.
So
Yeah.
you put absolutely no effort into
Zero.
Americanizing video. Okay, good.
No, I mean, I don't sound like any of my countrymen. If I go back, they think I sound like an American. Genuinely, they all think that I've put on some kind of American accent. And my mom's just like, "Oh, you've got a twang now." I'm like, "What?"
Well, it's like
Uh,
my dad is Hungarian. He was born in Hungary and came here in his 20s. And
mm.
so like when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh my God, I love your dad's accent." I did not know what they were talking about. I mean, I didn't hear it. You know.
Right, right. Yeah, it's that's what I say to people. They're like, "Oh, I love your accent." I'm like, "You're the one with the accent. I don't know what the fuck." This drawing I'm doing is just it's a cartoonist surrounded by editors. Um, and it's almost like a nightmare. It's like a it's like a horrible in my head. This is actually, I don't know if you have this, but I every art director, editor I've ever had, newspaper editor, they live in my subconscious. They live in my brain. And I hear their
Hmm.
voices every time I'm sitting at the drawing board. They just come out unwelcome. I don't invite them. They just pop out. I'll be
Are you
drawing a
naked?
thing.
Are you
I'm always
naked?
naked. Always,
Good.
of course.
Hmm.
It's that dream, and it's so weird because and like I hear Sam Viviano's voice from Mad. I hear Brian Mitchell, my first newspaper editor. I hear like art directors from ad agencies in my. They just like bugs buzzing around my brain while I'm making these decisions, giving me no.
Bob Mankoff is like no longer the cartoon editor, but he still lives rent free in my
Oh,
subconscious, of course.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, with his eloquent statements and insults dressed up as compliments.
Yep. And just the absolute knowledge that he is a better cartoonist than you are.
It's implied and explicit
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder. So the topic of AI comes up a lot with cartoonists. And last night, a bunch of cartoonists were at the book launch for Hilary Campbell's book, The Joy of Snacking, and we were talking about AI as one does, and this idea of not necessarily the humor being the thing that the AI can do, but the drawing.
Right.
And Matt Inman had put out something on the oatmeal yesterday, which I thought was really, really good, which was, and this is apropos of like, AI just sort of creeping into the New Yorker cartoon space lately with these generators that keep popping up. And he was saying that like, when you find out that something has been made using AI, the joy of just the notion of like it being a communication or a story or a connection between the artist and the viewer, it completely evaporates. And it's not even that it's not funny or not interesting. It's just like that it's missing the heartbeat. It's missing the
Right.
asymmetry or the mistakes or the imperfections, just the stuff that you connect with. Like the reason I love Steed so much is that I know every line is totally deliberate, and yet there are so many lines in there that I'm like, did you mean to do that one? Is that like I can see in every cartoon that he does this decision
Right.
making process,
I have
and
a
I
little pet
love.
tell me if you agree, but I have a little pet
Mm.
theory that AI, the limitation of AI in terms of being an artist, if you want to call it
Yeah,
that, is that it can't make good mistakes.
right,
Right.
right. That's
It
that's a
can
pretty good dream.
it can mimic, it can reproduce what's done before. And if it is mimicking a sort of like, extemporaneous style or something, then it can look and like, yes, it will put six fingers on characters unintentionally. It will like make
Right,
elongated
right.
arms. But as far as like the artful mistakes that actually lead you down unexpected paths you weren't intending to take in a composition, I think there will be like more of an emphasis on the unpolished nature of art. Right.
Yeah,
Where it's
right.
almost like AI can do really good seeming, slick,
Realism and
yeah, like that kind of
yeah.
thing. So maybe it's incumbent upon artists to like keep pushing ourselves to realms of like discomfort where we just make more beautiful mistakes. You know, I
That's a
don't know.
good, yeah. No, I like that theory. That it gives me hope. But it also, I think that is part of why I love looking at other people's work is like I often wonder like how many versions of this did they do? How did they arrive at that particular thing? I look at illustrations and like a perfect hand or a perfect foot or something and think like how much time did they spend on that foot? You know? And or
Totally.
if it
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it didn't turn out well, like, oh, I wonder if they absolutely kicking themselves about how that, you know, the shape of that mouth or that cheek or the ear or something looks like. I think about that stuff, you know?
You're doing a worm with socks. I've missed the other prompts, but here's my editor. I did a similar thing to you.
Wow, look at this. That's way better. Holy crap.
You're saying do
We should do
better,
better. Exactly. Oh my
but we
God.
won't. But
But
we
we
won't
won't
tell you
tell
how.
you. Oh my God, you nailed it. That is the perfect encapsulation of oh wow. That's hit me
Do better.
right in the brain. So I know that you have a million things that you have lined up for your book
This
tour,
was a
but
ball. This was an
this
absolute ball.
I love doing this with you. I love talking shop, and it's the book itself. I'm really like I'm encouraged by how well people are responding to it because it means that there is an appetite for this. There is an appetite for cartoon collections, you know, and
Let's raise all boats. You know,
yeah,
get Hillary's stuff, get Asher's stuff, get your stuff, my stuff. You know, the more that we can do, the more we're encouraged, the more like it's well received. I think that it just feeds the possibility of more in the future. So
yeah.
let the publishers know you like this stuff.
Yes, yes. Buy the book. It's called "And to Think We Started as a Book Club" by Tom Toro. Wherever you buy books. Where are you going to be? Are you going to be on book tour for the next month, or what are
Yeah,
you
my
doing?
gosh, I'm gonna be.
If people want to
Yeah,
come and see you, is there like a list,
yeah.
a
So
book tour list?
I'm gonna be. Go to my website, tomtoro.com. On the news section, I have my October stuff or my Instagram. I'm gonna be posting about where I'm gonna be this Friday. I'm gonna be at Powell's Books downtown in
Right.
Portland at
Love
7 o'clock.
Pals.
It's gonna be a good one.
Nice.
And
Great.
then I'm going to be at RJ Julia's in Connecticut. And I'm going to be at Oblong Books in Rhinebeck. I'm going to be at Paper Cuts in Boston
Nice.
coming up. So that's going to be all in this coming week. So check out my Instagram and website for specific dates. And I'll be posting about them as they approach.
That's great. Yeah,
All
nice.
right.
Powell's is epic. Isn't that the biggest bookstore in America?
Is it? I think,
Is
is
it the
it?
oldest or the big?
City of Books, they call it. It might be. It's an entire city block.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's insane.
it's really cool. So it's going to be,
Crazy.
7 o'clock. I'm going to be sharing stuff from and because it's the 100th year of the New Yorker, I'm going to be
Yeah,
sharing stuff from my book and also doing a little bit of a retrospective on how the cartoons have changed over the past 100 years and stuff that's really inspired me from each decade. So I'm
love
doing a
that.
little bit of a New Yorker shout out too. 7 o'clock this Friday at Powell's Books, and I'll be signing copies,
Nice.
and it's going to be a ball.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to drop by and get a signed copy of my book, I'm at New York Comic Con Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All the details are on my Substack if you want to find out what times I'm going to be there. Tom, thank you so much. Good luck with the book. It's going to sell out. It's going to be a hit. It's a bestseller. I'm not even I'm not going to be able to get you back on again. You're going to be this big, high flying bigwig, and I'm going to have to go through an agent. It's going to be a nightmare. But I'll be very happy.
I can't even hear your accent anymore. You're just you've already naturalized. You know, you're great.
There you
You're
go.
great. I'm so familiar. We do this so often. It's just so natural. You know, it's
Yeah.
great. But yeah, so to everybody out there, if you go to the Humane Society and the cat is named Knucklehead, there's still hope for it. It can be a great house cat.
Knucklehead the cat. I love it. I love it, Pumpkin. All right. Well,
Okay. All right, my
have a good
friends.
day. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time. See
See
you
you out there.
guys. Bye.